your way again. So, and appreciate how is
No, but it does.
wherever you might be it sunny, be it, whatever the weather is, we can only be grateful. Yeah, so let's cut to the chase and get right in. Today, we want to talk about openness in relationships and marriages by extension. So, and again, just before we go ahead, we'll need your input. I mean, for this particular discussion, because my guess is it has, and then basically we discuss spotlight on secrets, right? Basically, what do you think about secrets? Do you think it's healthy for people to be having secrets in a relationship, in marriage? Do you think that, or you think there should be full disclosure? I mean, at every point in time, there should be full disclosure. What's your take on that?
So my honest opinion is that for marriage,
Mm-hmm.
there shouldn't be any secrets between them. Have a profession that's like maybe you are a psychologist or you are working as a security agent or something. But apart from that, I believe that use a relationship, because sometimes it's dicey with relationships.
Okay, so it's interesting. Hey, Yamicha, good to have you. In profession, so you is, if I mention it, so those are all the things stored up in my. If my spouse works as a secret agent, shouldn't I know? It should help me know how to lead my life or lead.
The nature of the contractual
Agreement
between the country
yeah.
and the person. So I think sometimes even for the safety of their spouses, they don't let them know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe that is the reason why they don't.
Context, you think there shouldn't be secrets, but if for some reason you feel that it's fine, if it's just like they are allowed to keep secret, because basically I personally think that however you treat your relationship is no different from how you treat your marriage. So
I don't know, or you are just going out for outing sake, or people. I think at the point where you see that it's serious and it will lead to marriage, then you have to lay everything open,
bare,
yeah,
right,
into a relationship. So it means that maybe, and so they feel that it is something personal they would not want to let out until they are really sure that this is the person I want to spend my life.
Okay, this relationship. But at that point, say you've been ready to, at that point, it might be more painful, right? If things come up, chipping it in at the early stages of the marriage, of the relationship. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, that's fine.
I believe that perhaps in their secret, and then it ended abruptly without the person having to know them or getting the opportunity to know them for who they are. So sometimes people them their secrets. So I think it's based on the individual and the situation.
Okay, now back to the mothers to hold off on some stuff, not let their spouses in on those, because why on earth should you be harboring some things you've not told your spouse and keep them as your little secrets in your closet?
So for me, knowing the spouse I have, I know when I tell my spouse, I would have to think. I was reading something from a post by someone that a man will never forgive infidelity. So never tell your husband. So I think those are some of the things that people have in mind about infidelity, because they stay in the marriage, but for men it's hard. So I know that a lot of women who have, they hardly say it.
Okay, Thanks for joining us, Makimbola and Beatrice. Of infidelity or adultery than to give yourself the burden, assuming you are not even going to disclose that to your spouse. Than to aside that, I would think that go
so
ahead.
That's the ideal situation, that you stay off.
Right.
I don't know with what reason they have to do that.
If you giving who your spouse is, blah blah blah, you might also find someone your spouse respects, to find a good way to behave. Personally, that it's been years, the more angry I'll be. No, that's bad English. So the more angry I'll be, right, or the angrier I'll be, because how I would process it. You don't want to have secrets, right? But if for whatever reason you have secrets, maybe find a time your husband is in, or your wife is in the best of moods, and tell your spouse. Maybe they might take it, depending on what it is, right? Yeah.
When it's
the moment you tell them, then they get triggered, and it becomes something
even
else.
The deferred,
but I
anger,
think in ideals.
So
yeah,
I was even thinking about it right now, that
okay,
when it happens and you tell the person, like, this is something that happened, or whatever you are keeping, you tell the person early, and or you defer it, which one will make the person more angry?
More angry, because especially then I'll take it as, okay, you've been very to communicate this right. I mean, if right when it happens you're able to keep it, it smacks off, and that even leaves room for the person to go ahead and do whatever the person is involved in. You get what I mean? But if at the point where ABC happened, blah blah blah, I think it's a better and more matured thing to do. I don't know your take on that.
I would react, if it is today or a deferred one. I believe that whether deferred or today, I would react the same way.
Let's take a practical.
If it is, if you were getting married and maybe you knew you were impotent, then you didn't tell me. You know, the impotency, there are levels. It could be that not completely, and you did not tell me, but you knew. And you waited till maybe you were serious in the marriage.
Right.
And or you waited till we got married. So one is serious. One is telling me the very first time we met or something that we wanted to.
Right.
One is, it's not that you did something bad, but it is something that you cannot help with.
Exactly. And
do you think it would change?
You would agree?
Do you think it would change any?
Yeah, I think it would. Think about it. If the person told you right before, you got married, as against when you guys were married, in fact, if the person told you before you got married, you have the choice to say no to the marriage.
Is because they want to save something that cannot be.
Someone is going to be married to you for the rest of their lives, and there is something that could really impact that journey. Why don't you disclose? Wouldn't like you for that particular. So it was a very good example you gave. If the person discloses that before the marriage, and you decide to go ahead with the marriage, then marriage, 9 out of will be like, oh, so you knew this and you didn't tell me, and it breaks trust. And as we keep saying, trust is the bedrock of good relationships, right? So he has a child, yes. When the child is a fool, disclose this.
It's too late, but people, for instance, I've come across at the last minute, maybe a day or two to the marriage, they discover that their partners are cheating. And the partners are like, okay, people just reconsider, look at the situation around, and then they are like, okay, the man has begged or the lady has begged, so, and we have already gone this far, so because the person continues cheating, even though the discovery was made in the nick of time. But
fully someone says that first time here.
Yes, but sometimes it can negatively impact the one who is doing the forgiving or whatever, because the person doesn't.
Just before we continue, yeah, Solomon said first time here. Good to have you, Solomon. Now, Prissy, on that, I sort of disagree, right? You get to find out that your spouse to be has been cheating all along, right? You see, and I always say, you are not going to get married to society. You are not going to have society in your home every day of the week, right? You should be able to give yourself time to process it. You see, think about it. If the only reason why you want to go ahead is to please society, then unfortunately, if such a disclosure is made, you should be happy that the disclosure was made before marriage ceremony. Is still not the marriage ceremony. It's still not after the marriage ceremony. You get what I mean? And even if it happens that the person discloses, you still have an opportunity to, right? Because I really think that, yes, because of how humans are programmed and humans really doesn't concern you. Or some would say, oh, but this was in the past. What does it have to do with if in the past I have 10 kids, even one kid, and I didn't tell you about it? That makes our family, the new family we try. It starts from the point of being a dysfunctional family. You would always have, you are co-parenting with, you would always have, there would always be something. And so, which changes the dynamics of the marriage you're trying to get.
You tell your future husband or your husband all the people you dated, if you had abortions in the past.
So let's process it this way. And my simple answer to that is yes. I know people would, let's say you are with away somewhere and you meet someone, tell your ex about this, and even make sleeping dogs lie. The second time you somewhere else and someone else comes and speaks about another ex. Now tell me, Prissy, how would you start processing things? What would?
Yeah, like I don't know you well.
Exactly. You will start questioning yourself that, hey, do I really know this person? Well, yeah. And again, it goes to chip down the trust, which we said, if you for your past, what you've been through, blah, 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 it's fine. It's fine. Okay, Solomon says that, could there be a disclosure that will be opening a kind of a good place now? Isn't it worth where Solomon is going? Now, there is an assurance that they will never wake up. There is no assurance like that. You see, be worried about. Could be triggered or could be resurrected by some issue, some situation, and really open to, and you guys have a very open relation. When I say open, I don't mean that anyone can come into the relationship. I mean, like, you guys are mentioning it to your spouse. It would be very unfortunate for your spouse to take the seat of judgment and pass judgment on you, right? Prissy, you would remember that there was a time when I was very young, it wasn't hinged to anything. It wasn't going to do anything. I said I had a crush, and I felt like it was also mentioned. That was the first time I was even telling the person that she was my crush. I mean, and if she's listening, she knows this, right? It just helps the openness, because you don't want it to always. You have not told your spouse. I don't know how. So every time I see you, I know I have not told her. In your spouse's head, that's what it is. But you know there is something. I don't think it really fosters that openness. And yeah, let us know what you think out there. Okay, so Eben says that I agree with you, Van. Another scenario is a case you are just putting everyone's life in jeopardy because of your past. You can just say your past is gone. It comes out from the past that is going to affect your future, right? So I really think that there should be, how is logical, right? So if we take it literally that we are one, then it should help us about how we think about those things. If I tell you something that has happened in the past, it shouldn't necessarily reduce who I am into the judgment seat, blah, 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 but it shouldn't change who I am. And so spouses, we should also be very well said, Van. Yeah, so Prissy, I don't know what your closing comments are, but we'll come back to this next week. In fact, we'll try to have someone on.
With you, for me, I let everything out. When we were dating, I would tell Van, I didn't see the need to hide anyone. So when you see me with the person, you know that this person asked me out. We are just friends.
Right.
But because somebody can easily come and tell him that I am dating this person and dating that person.
Absolutely.
And that might be miscommunication. So
right.
Yeah, it's very important to clear the air.
Yeah.
Before you have the devil coming into.
He or she a lot of trust. Okay, so Solomon says that I think it will be case specific. Some dogs can sleep forever, as you put it, but those dogs that don't have the tendency of waking up should not be disclosed. The ones that have an interesting discussion. Goodbye. Secrets in relationships, in marriages. Thanks so much for staying with us. Thanks so much for making it interactive. And we'll come your way again next week with yet another episode of Dear Van. So as always, remember that no two relationships are the same. Thank you and bye for now.
Bye.